Good evening. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, how are you?
Baruch Hashem. Thank God. Everything is good.
Good, good, good.
Okay, let me get into this thing here.
We were left in Shulchan Aruch, but I
Okay.
think we finished that, no?
Uh,
It was about, I didn't write the
yeah,
letter.
we finished it. We finished Shulchan Aruch. So we're gonna go to the next halacha. Okay. So, how you feeling? Everything is good there?
Yes, yes, Baruch Hashem.
Very nice.
It's a different day, you know?
Beautiful.
Thank you for asking.
God bless. God bless.
Amen, amen. And yours?
Oh, fantastic. Great.
Good, good. It's good to hear.
Trying to be a good boy. Stay out of trouble.
Aren't we all?
Absolutely. All right. Let's see where we are here. Oh, we're getting somewhere. Right, so I think we're in Dalid.
I do. Hold on a minute. I know. Let's see. Okay. I don't know the letter, but it talked about the last portion of Beit Yosef.
Yes.
Beit Yosef, excuse me. That there's no kedusha on
Yeah, the truth is
tzitzit.
that we have to do also bets.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like it's in the wrong order, you know, so that's a little bit confusing, but we haven't done bet yet.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I guess we'll start. You know, I think somebody else is supposed to come in, but we'll get started.
Okay.
So it says like this, right? Katav Aran, Per Kol HaKelim, B'Shem HaRavad. He writes over there, the Ran, the name of the Ravad, the Talitot Shel Mitzvah, Adam Bodel Mehem, Ve'eno Rotze Lekaneach Atzmo Mehem. So he says, when you have a talit, which is for mitzvah, what does that mean? For prayers, right? So a person doesn't use that to wipe himself and all that kind of stuff with that. He takes care of it, you know? Also, he doesn't use them for any kinds of mundane uses. Especially something which is disgraceful, something which is not respectful, disrespectful. So what happens? He throws it away, and they just like get destroyed. So, you know, what he means to say apparently is that, in other words, he just like throws it somewhere away, and it just rots. In other words, it just wears away by itself. Because you don't want to like physically destroy it, right? It's not respectful. So just let it, let it happen by itself.
Well, let it happen by itself, meaning he just
It'll rot,
abandon it.
it'll rot by itself. It'll like decompose, whatever. Just like old clothing, old clothing decomposes, like if you leave it in the closet a long time, it just gets worn out, whatever. Let's see the Shulchan Aruch, how he explains this. Let's see how he explains it. Okay. So we'll see how it explains the Shulchan Aruch. It says like this. Talitot shel mitzvah shebalu, right? If you have talit, which is a mitzvah, and it's already worn out, Adam bodel atzmo mehem eno mutar lekaneach atzmo mehem. So people don't use them for mundane purposes, to wipe and stuff. It's not respectful, right? So velo leached otam l'tashmish. He also doesn't use them for some kind of a disrespectful purpose. So what does he do? Hi, good evening. So he throws it away and it rots by itself. Right? So in other words, you know what he's trying to say basically? Like, don't physically disgrace it, like, actively. Let it just go by itself. Let it decompose by itself. That's what we're trying to say. What I do, by the way, is that when my talit gets old, I don't want to use it anymore. I just put it in my closet. I put it away, and it just stays there. Like I keep it for a spare, for a rainy day, whatever. And it just sits there in the closet, until something happens. I don't know. Until decomposes, whatever you want to call it, right? That's the idea. That's what we're saying pretty much here. So don't actively destroy it, right? It's not respectful because after all, it's a mitzvah item. So just let it go, by itself.
Didn't we say we can throw it out?
Right. So here, right, he's talking about. Yesterday we were talking about stam tzitzit, but this is talking about the talit of mitzvah, right, which is like the for prayers,
Oh, so talit gadol you cannot throw out.
No, he's saying you do throw it out, but just don't disrespect it. Don't disrespect it,
Okay.
In other words, just throw it away and let it rot by itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always tell people, put it in a separate bag, and throw it away. Because this way you're not destroying it with your hands, you know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah, same thing, same idea. Esther told me today, she said you should use maybe a double bag, that's also good, Ashkenazim, they do that. They double bag it sometimes. This way it won't open up, so easily, whatever, But the truth is that if you close the bag good, you don't really need a double bag. You know what I mean? If you close it up good, it's fine, whatever. Because whatever happens later on, down the road somewhere, it's not already your problem. You didn't do that. That happened by itself, You didn't physically destroy it, you know what I mean? That's called grama, it's indirect causation. We're not really worried about that so much. Okay, that's the idea pretty much, By the way, the same thing also goes for Torah pamphlets, that are written, all kinds of sheets, pamphlets that are written with divrei Torah. So we gotta throw them away sometime because you just can't keep all of them, they take up too much space. So they don't really have kedusha either because they're not printed, so they're not written. They're photocopies, or laser printing, what I mean? That's not really called writing. So they really have the same status as the tzitzit, basically. So what does that mean? It's a mitzvah item. You use it for learning, and now, you're done with it. So you got to get rid of it. So what should you do with these Torah pamphlets, these Torah sheets, that they make everywhere in the world. What we do is, again, we put it in a separate bag and throw it away. That's what we do. Same thing with the tzitzit. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Hey, Kavod Harav, I have a question.
Yes.
What about Torah notes?
Right. So that's a little bit different. You know why? Because you handwrite that.
Uh-huh.
So that has more holiness.
Uh-huh.
So those, you have to be a little bit more careful with them.
Mm.
You should probably send them to Geniza, for burial. There are services like that in every community, Geniza services.
Okay, thank you.
So you send it like for Geniza. But the truth is, if it's hard for you to do that, you can like double bag it, and throw it away. Why? Because anyway, it's gonna get buried. The garbage gets buried anyway. So if you double bag it, it'll get buried. But it's not so respectful to do it, because it's like handwritten. So therefore, the preferred thing to do is to like save them, like put them in a box, and then send them to Geniza, for burial. It costs a little money, but no big deal. It's not the end of the world.
Thank you.
Yeah, God bless. There's also another thing I saw, like many years ago when I was in Israel. There was this big posek, over there, Rav Vosner, from Bnei Brak. So he had a tshuva that he wrote regarding, these pamphlets or these sheets that were like thrown on the floor, like so you see them on the floor, right? Somebody threw them, just discarded them. So the question is, do you need to pick them up, or you could just leave them like that, So he wrote that you don't have to pick them up. So why is that? What's the reason why? Because, as we said, they don't have any holiness because they're photocopies. So therefore, right, it's not you that disgraced it; somebody else disgraced it. So you're not really obligated to save it. You know what I mean? Because it's not really holy. It wasn't for that purpose. That person who threw it away didn't do the right thing. Like in the street like that. It's not proper. He shouldn't have thrown it away in the streets. But you don't have to save it because it's not holy. So therefore, he paskined, Rav Vosner, that you don't have to pick them up. You can just leave them on the floor. So that's pretty much the story, but what I'm telling you, right? So same thing with the tzitzit, right? You shouldn't like throw them, on the floor, and people are gonna step on them, like that. It's not nice. It's a mitzvah item. So therefore, what you should do is, put it in a bag and throw it away like that. Separate bag. That's the idea.
Thank you.
God bless. Okay, very good. Let's go to Gimel. Any questions, Yitzchak?
Oh, I'm good, Rabbi. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. Good. Let's go to Gimel. So it says, Maran Bet Yosef, in Gimel Aleph, it says, Mash Katav Rabbeinu, that which Rabbeinu wrote, the Tur, Shemutar Lekanes B'tzitzit B'vet Kisa. You're allowed to go with the tzitzit inside the bathroom. Ken Katav Rambam Pet Gimel. That's what it says in the Rambam, right? There's no problem to go into the bathroom like that. V'chen Katav Rabbeinu Yerucham, also Rabbeinu Yerucham. V'chen Katuv B'nimuk Yosef, also there. B'ilchot tzitzit B'shem HaGaon, in the name of some Gaon. He brought also a source for this. We say in the Perek Tchelet, the Rav Yuda haba mevarech al safra litatef b'tzitzit mishum de kasava. So he used to, as Rav Yuda, he used to bless every morning for the tzitzit. Why? Mishum de kasava calls man shemenicha, because he holds that every time you put it, mevarech aliyah, you got to bless on it, right? So that's what we do. So then, why was he only blessing in the morning, if that's the case? Mishum de lo hava shade leglime mine kule Yoma, Kula Yoma, because he wasn't taking it off all day. He was wearing it all day. So there was no reason to bless on it, you know. So what do you see from there? You see from there, you're allowed to go into the bathroom with the tzitzit. Why? Because the fact that he wasn't taking it off shows you that he was wearing it also in the bathroom as well. That's what he's saying. If not so, he would have needed to take it off and then bless it again, right? As we said, right? And then he would have blessed on it again, right? Unless you're one of those modern guys today that they go like the Achronim who say, right, that you don't bless when you come out of the bathroom. The truth is that a lot of people do it this way. They don't bless when they come out of the bathroom. But the original din, you know, the real din is that when you go into the bathroom, you do have to bless again on the talit. If you took it off. Right, that's the real halakha according to Shulchan Aruch. There are some, have different opinions about that, but that's pretty much what it is. I think we said, right, we already talked about this before. We said that the Ramah Paskins, if you have a talit katan, you don't have to bless on it because you had the talit there, something. Whatever. But according to Shulchan Aruch, you have to bless on it. That's the way it is when you go to the bathroom.
Rabbi, but back then they didn't use the talit gadol only for prayers, right? They wore it as a regular clothing.
It's a good question. It seems like there was something like especially for prayers. They had a talit they had a special talit for prayers, you know? They did have that.
Is
Yeah.
that what we're talking about here?
But it's talking about any talit. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right. So
Any talit.
If you're in the middle of prayer, you don't have to take it off. You can go to the restroom with it.
Right, you can go into the bathroom with that, even though the custom is not to these days. Because you know why? Because we're afraid it's going to get dirty or something, you know, like splash on it something, you know, get a splash, you know, something, you know. It's just a matter of convenience. That's why we don't put it. That's what we do, you know what I mean? According to halakha, there's no problem. Why? Because it has no kedusha, you know. So what's the problem? It's just that sometimes, you know, when you sit down on the toilet, excuse my expression, you know, it's gonna like drag on the floor. It's gonna get dirty. You know, it's not convenient. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's more of a nice practice to take it off. You know, in terms of practical, you know, practical advice. Okay, so that's that. So then it goes on to say. And that which Rabbeinu wrote in chapter 8. For instance, he took it off to went in the bathroom. I already wrote there, it says, there he's talking about something else. The reason he had to take it off there is because he's wearing it in a way that you can't use the bathroom, you know, like that. So he has to take it off. There's no choice. I mean, so, you know, it's a matter of like practicality. If there's no way for you to use the bathroom, you got to remove it, right? Otherwise, what are you going to do? Okay, be like a little kid, you know, with a diaper, you know, it can't be like that, right? You have to be mature, right? So you have to be responsible. Okay, good. That's that. So that's the big yourself. There's also another piece here. Gimel bet right over here. Katuv bekobo. It says in kobo. Shenahagu shelo lishkav betalit sheyesh bo tzitzit. Gam nahagu. So it says also the minhag is not to lie. Right, lie down. That you know, with a talit which has tzitzit. Right, we'll see what that means. Gam nahagu shelo techabesenu goya. Also, the custom is that we don't give it to a goya to wash it, you know, to launder it. Today, by the way, we're lenient to both sides. The whole mitzvot b'ziot alav. So mitzvot shouldn't be disgraceful. Ad kan eshano. V'chen katuv b'sefer. It's also written in Sefer Orchot Chaim b'shem Rabbeinu Asher. So you know what Maran says? Look what he says. V'lo ra'aynu v'lo shalmanu mi she'ekpid b'zeh me'olam. So we never saw anybody who's makpid about this. You know, nobody's really particular about these halachot, and so therefore we don't really care about it. It didn't catch on, this minhag. You know, these minhagim, they didn't catch on. So therefore, the halacha is that you are allowed to take it to the laundry, right? The Chinese laundry, Chinese lady there, no problem, right? Let her do your laundry there, and right. Also, you can also sleep with it, no problem. You can sleep with your tzitzit, as we do with tzitzit, what talit katan, right? That's the way it is. Okay, good. Very good. So let's see Shulchan Aruch Gimel. So it says over there like this. You're allowed to go with tzitzit into the bathroom. So says the Rama, the kol sheken lishkabem. All the more so you're allowed to sleep with it, right? As we said, right? There's no the sharet. We don't have this custom today, not to sleep with it. Says there are those who wrote that the custom is not to sleep with the talit. Also, not to give it to a goy to launder it. So it says, but we're lenient, right, about the to sleep with them. Right, so you see, the custom is not like this opinion, whatever. Okay, beautiful. That's that. So let's go to Dalet. Any questions? Okay, no questions. Okay, very good. Let's go to Dalet. Let Yosef. So it says like this. Katav Agur. It says in the Agur, Hashem Hagaot Mordechai, in the name of this rabbi, Kol HaMegarer Tzitzotav Alav HaKatuv Omer, whoever drags his tzitzit on the floor, it says about him, Titatia Bimtate Ashmad, right? Ashmed. So what does that mean? Like it's a curse, you know? In other words, he's going to be destroyed, right? He's going to be removed from the world. So what does that mean? You shouldn't like disgrace your tzitzit by dragging it on the floor. As we said, right? Don't use it in a disgraceful way. We talked about that yesterday, right? Same idea, right? Same concept as that, pretty much. So he says regarding what the Rabbeinu said, the name of Shel Tot, ve'etrog, the mitzvah, and etrog of mitzvah, lemichlet to eat it. Katav Rabbeinu Gadol Maria Abuav. It says the Maria Abuav, Perush. It says Perush. Apagav de minadin, who she'im ha'etrog gadol. Even though the halacha is that if the etrog is big, she'achol lechol mimenu, that he could eat from it, v'tanai she'yishaer bo kibetza, on condition that there should be left over at least the egg size. But he says you shouldn't do that anyway. End quote. So I don't understand the words. So we send the Gemara Sukkah Lamed Vav Amud Bet. Rabbi Chanina matbil v'nafik be, that Rav Chanina would dip it and go out with it. We'll see what that means. Katav Rosh says the Rosh. What does that mean? But even though the etrog was made for the mitzvah of the lulav, whatever, asur be'achila, you're not allowed to eat it. Kivan shenisha bo shiur letzet bo, since it's left over the size to fulfill your obligation. Heter mikishiur lo itkatzai. V'chen katru tosfot. It's also said in Tosfot. בפרק לולב והרבה, וכן כתב רבינו סימן תב חריש מ"ט, also there, the two writes about this, והם הדברים שכתב הרב, that's what the Rabbi said, שאם אתרוג גדול, if אתרוג is big, יכול לאכול ממנו, you're allowed to eat it, ואם איתה דאין לעשות זה, and if it's true that you're not allowed to do that, הכי הווה אבי דרבי חנינא הכי, so how did Rabbi Hanina do that in the Gemara? So you see from there that it's not correct. So he says, therefore, but Daniel the whole Gavna, so it seems like all these things, Pshita the Sharet, it's definitely allowed, no question. The Vehad Kamar B'Sheltot, now what she says in Sheltot, Etrog the Mitzvah Lechle Lemechle Aino Kishem Bo Yoter Mikvitza, that you shouldn't eat it, right? Whatever it's talking about, it doesn't have more than egg size. Or Afilu Gadol Kama, or it's Even if it's big, if it comes to eat it by Yom Rishon, first day shekulo muktzeh mitzvah. It's all designated for the mitzvah. Because in the first day, the etrog has to be complete. You can't cut up into pieces. You know what I mean? Also, he says alternatively, even the other days, and for instance, that he designated for mitzvah, stam, without undefined. Rabbi Hanina b'sheksu kulo le'yom harishon, miksato l'shar yamim. So Rabbi Hanina is talking about a different case where he designated the whole thing for the first day, but for the other days he designated only parts partially, at least in exercise. That's what like it says in Tosfot there. So I'll explain to you a little bit what he means to say over here. So you get the idea. The idea is like this, right? That on the first day of the Sukkot, you need a complete etrog to fulfill your obligation. But the other days, the halacha says that even if it's lacking, as long as there's an egg size there, you can still fulfill your obligation, even though it's not complete. That's what he's mentioning here. This whole idea. Okay, whatever. That's not really such a big deal for us, but we don't cut up the etrog, until Sukkot finishes, right? We don't do that. We're not that crazy. Okay, so let's see. We're done with the Beit Yosef. Let's see Shulchan Aruch and we're done. Okay, so let's see Shulchan Aruch. Very, 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 very short. So it says, be careful, right? When you wear the talit, don't drag the tzitzit on the floor. That's the idea. Okay, very good. That's the whole thing. So that's the end of the siman. Now we're going to Kafbet. Very nice. Okay. Only 3 chapters left. We're done. We're almost done with this. Oh, wow, this is very small. Oh my God. Really small one. Only 1.5 lines. Okay, so it says, "Ha'oseh tzitzit le'atzmo mevarech she'echianu." Nitatef po mevarech nitatef b'tzitzit. So it says, if a person makes tzitzit for himself, he blesses she'echianu when he makes it. Nitatef po, when he wears it, then he blesses nitatef b'tzitzit. That's what the Torah says, right? Let's see what the Beit Yosef comments on that. It says Maram Beit Yosef. Tosefta, it's in Tosefta. It says the Brachot, Perek Acharon, last Perek. Katvu Tosfot. It's written in Tosfot also. Perek Atchelet over there. Mem Bet Amud Bet in the Gemara. Unimuk Yosef Ve'elchot Tzitzit also there. Katav Alea, and he wrote about this. Ve'im lo amar b'shat asya. He didn't say at the time that he made it, but Shechianu, right? He didn't say Shechianu when he made it. Omer b'shat atifa rishona. So then he should say it when he wears it first. So we write that we don't make it usually. So what we do is we bless when we wear it the first time. We bless Shechianu and also Beitatef. When we buy a big talit, for the small one we don't bother with that, right? You know why that is, Yitzchak? Why don't we bless Shechianu on the small one?
Why not?
Because it hinges on the fact that you're happy, whatever, like you have simcha. The Shechianu bracha goes on simcha, So
Right.
you're not really so happy when you get a talit katan. It's not such a big deal, It's like, lo aleno, it's like you're buying like socks, whatever. You don't make Shechianu on socks,
Right.
Or t-shirt, whatever, right? Or even a shirt, like you don't make Shechianu. Only on a suit, or a coat, something like that, right?
Right. Right. I mean, is there a difference like in customs? I've heard that some do bless on shirts, some don't. I mean, I personally would not be
Never heard
very happy
anybody that
about
blesses on a shirt, actually, I've never heard that. It's
Mm.
not really customary so much. Unless it makes you very happy. You're ecstatic,
So is it different for everyone? Like if you're not really excited about new suit, you shouldn't be blessing on it?
The truth is, that right, that's interesting, So there's a story like this brought down that one time Rav Chaim Kanievsky, he bought like a new coat, whatever, So he asked the Chazon Ish, who was his brother-in-law.
Mhm.
They lived together in the same house, So he asked him, he says, I bought a new coat. So he says, but he says, I'm not really happy about it. I could care less. So he asked him, should I make the bracha? So Chazon Ish told him no. He says, if you're not really happy, don't make it. Okay. But
it's
the
a
truth
relative
is,
one.
that I don't think it's a good idea for a person to make Shechianu on socks, because like it's abnormal to be happy about socks. You know what I mean? It's not normal.
Right. I mean, in our days, not, but
Yeah, it's not customary, so probably better to avoid it. The truth is that there are certain things you can make Shechianu if you want, but it's not a minhag. Like for instance, like I'll give you an example, like buying a new car. It's not a minhag to say Shechianu, but if you really want, you're happy with it. Like new car. You should make it. You can make it if you want. I'm saying there are things like that. So I mean, if you're really really happy, you're good. You're fine. Whatever it is, right?
Question: What is Moadim? Moadim for this? Is it like a party or celebration?
I'm sorry. Where does it say Moadim?
On the Shihi Yanu, the prayer that you were talking about.
Okay.
So it's only when you're very happy, like wearing something new.
Yes. So
But-
Moadim means like holidays. We also
Okay,
bless Shechianu on the holidays.
on the holidays.
So
Okay.
that's for a different purpose. Here it's more like you're happy. Like you're buying new clothing.
Mhm. Yes.
Right. But like on tefillin, we don't make Shechianu, right? On tefillin, we don't make. Because it's
why not, Rabbi?
clothing, like whatever. There are several reasons for it. We don't make Shechianu on tefillin.
Hmm.
We'll get to tefillin, B'ezras Hashem. We're almost there. We should be there by next week.
Even if you finally got Rabbeinu Tam and you
Right,
decided
we don't make it. Yeah, we don't make it. Yeah. If you finally got. Okay. All right, very good. Baruch Hashem, I was zocher, that the rabbi explained to us why we should buy it. So once he gave me the explanation, I went to buy it right away. I said, "That's it, I'm buying it." That was it. He convinced me right away.
I see.
Very,
still
very good
haven't got it.
Very good salesman. What can I tell you?
Hmm?
Very good salesman,
Uh,
the rabbi.
what's the reason, Rabbi? What did you get?
Oh, well, he gave us several reasons, but basically he told us, that number one, it's not clear what the halacha is, 50-50, right? In other words, there's no clear halacha when it comes to that. So what that means is that if you don't put both, like when you get to Olam Haba, you're gonna have a problem because they're gonna say, well, like, what did you do here? You went on a 50-50. You know what I mean? That's not Yirat Shemayim. That's not God-fearing person. When it comes to something which is from the Torah, you know what I mean? Safek deoraita le'achamir. You have to be machamir from the Torah. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing,
But how come everyone is doing Rashi, Rabbi?
Because that's the minhag. you know. But according to halachic discourse, right? There's no clear halacha whatsoever. There's a big machloket between the Rishonim and the Geonim, and God knows who else, right?
Wow. We lost an important,
You know what he used to tell us, the rabbi? He used to tell us like this. He used to say that if you don't wear the tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, says when you get to Shemaim, they're not going to let you into the yeshiva of Rabbeinu Tam. They're going to let no admission. They're going to tell you, what, you didn't wear his tefillin? You can't go into the yeshiva. I'm sorry. That was like a little bit of a joke, but I think there was some truth to it also.
Right. Rabbi, do you have to
the rabbis
see,
make jokes, you got to take it seriously.
so a little bit, sorry for taking a little bit off course.
Yeah.
But if you do put on the Rabbeinu Tam,
Yeah.
do you have to, and you have to say the Shema, and right with it?
Yeah, we say the Shema, but not the whole thing. We don't say Vayomer. The last paragraph we don't say.
What about, like, do you have to do it by the time of Kriyat Shema, or like if you do it after
I'll tell you, I had a lot of friends who used to put it in the afternoon because they had no time in the morning. You know, they were in a rush, so they would like do it in the afternoon. You know, to each his own.
But we don't bless on it, right?
We don't bless, right? Exactly. Yeah, we don't bless. What the rabbi told us is, that also according to Kabbalah, that you need both of them. I mean, according to the Arizal, you have to put both
At the same time.
Otherwise, you're in big trouble.
Oh, put both on
Yeah,
at the same time?
I'm not talking about the same time. I'm telling you that you need both. You know what I mean? If you don't put both of them, you're not getting the whole effect. You know what I mean?
In the same day, basically, you gotta put
Yeah, same day, of course, yeah. But also, the rabbi told us that even according to the Pshat, he said the Geonim used to wear Rabbeinu Tam. They weren't wearing Rashi, So in the time of the Geonim, everybody was wearing Rabbeinu Tam. So you can see from there, right? So that who can decide, between the Geonim and the Rishonim, who's right, who's wrong. We have the power to do something like that. You know what I mean?
In the Geonim, they probably blessed on it, right?
Yeah, for them that was the right one. They didn't put Rashi, you know what I mean? And then the minhag changed. In the time of the Rishonim, the minhag changed.
I see.
So we have no power to to decide who's right, who's wrong, There's also another thing, that in the Zohar it says like Rashi, and the Yerushalmi it says like Rabbeinu Tam. So also in the Chazal, there's both traditions. So in other words, there's no clear halacha whatsoever. Like it's totally,
But
totally 50-50, totally 50-50.
if the Zohar says like Rashi, why does the Zohar also say that you need both?
No, the Arizal says using both.
Oh, Arizal side.
Yeah.
I thought Arizal is basing everything on the Zohar.
He learned his own Torah from Eliyahu Navi. He learned for many years with Eliyahu Navi. That was the writings of the Arizal.
I see.
He got a lot of new stuff by himself. He was an independent contractor. You know what I mean? He wasn't only basing himself on the Zohar. So, yeah. So anyway, right? That's the story. So therefore, right? There's no. So the rabbi used to push that on us. He was like, "You better put it, or else." Pretty much that was the.
I need some context, Rabbi.
Okay. And also he told us another thing, which was that, he went also against our cheap side, like don't be cheap. In other words, he said if you divide up all the days that you're going to put Rabbeinu Tam, divide it up into days, it'll be like a few pennies every day. So don't be cheap, he says, like don't be cheap, it's going to be a lot of money, blah, 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 this, that, Don't be a cheapskate. Go and buy.
I think the major problem with it is during tefillah, during shacharit, to be able to swap. And
you get used to it.
keep up.
Get used to it.
And keep up.
Yeah. You know what I do? What I do is like this, that at the rabbi's minyan, what they used to do is they would take a 5-minute break.
Right.
And everybody would change it.
Do it here.
But over here, they don't do that. So what I do is like this, after they finish Aleinu, Ketoret Aleinu, then I put it on after that.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah, I
Yep.
put it at the end. No problem. It takes a little time, but it's no big deal. I put it on, I say Kriyat Shema, and then I learn with it also, I learn some Torah with it. So that's also good.
Mhm.
So according to Kabbalah, the twin of Rashi is connected Bina, and the Rashi Rabbeinu Tam is Chokhmah.
Oh,
They have different qualities. You understand? So if you want to get, if you know what it is, I'll tell you something. Honestly, if you want to learn good, put both, because they're going to help you to learn better.
I see.
That's
How
what
can you have Bina without Chokhmah, though, Rabbi?
Exactly, that's the whole thing. You're missing that quality. You understand?
Interesting. So we don't say the last paragraph only of the Shema. Is there a
Right.
reason?
Even though Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, by the way, you want to hear something interesting? Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef says you should say the last paragraph. But you know what it is? He wasn't with the minyan of Maran. He wasn't praying there. I was there, and Maran did not say the last paragraph. So it's like, he thinks that you should say it, but the rabbi actually didn't say it. Nobody
Is
said it over there.
Is it optional or is it just it's
No, we don't say it. The minhag is not to say. That's all. We don't say it. You don't need it. So he made a mistake with that a little bit. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Don't get me wrong, but what it is, sometimes when you're not physically there, you don't know what's going on. So you don't know what the Masoret is. You don't have a clear tradition. By the way, this is what happens also here in the Tur Bet Yosef. You know what happens? Sometimes the Tur brings something in the name of his father, the Rosh, some Torah. So you would think, right, that's father and son, so he knows everything, right, that his father said.
Mhm.
But comes Maran, and argues with him and says, no, the Rosh never said that. So you see, sometimes that even the son can make a mistake about his father's Torah. It happens.
Interesting. And in this case,
Sometimes the Talmid who's there is better than the son who's not there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I was there, so I know.
got it.
Okay, God bless.
Thank you, Rabbi.
All right, God bless. So let's go on, right? As we say. It also says in Rambam. Kol mitzvah she'im zman kegon shofar. Oh, look what it says, right? Any mitzvah which is from time to time, like every year, right? V'chen kol mitzvah shehi kinyan lo, something which is like also like a kinyan, which is like acquisition. Kegon tzitzit, you're buying it, Tefillin. V'chen mitzvah she'ena tedira, also something which is not constant. Kegon milah, right? Milat bino, like circumcising your son. So what you do is when you make them, you bless on it. That's what the Rambam says, right? Shechianu. By the way, as we said, right, our custom is not to bless on tefillin shechianu, right? If you didn't bless on these things, right? Shechianu. By the way, we also don't bless on sukkah shechianu when we make it. We only bless when we go in there, right? When we live in it. So it says if you don't do it at the time when you made it, then at least when you use it. Also things like this. So it says Maran, there's a wonder here on Rabbeinu, the Tur. Regarding Tzitzit, you make shechianu. But katab ken gabet tefillin, but he didn't write about tefillin like that. So what happened? Right? Why didn't he write about tefillin? So he says, "Rabbeinu Agadol Mari Abuhav." Says Mari Abuhav, katab the sfira the Rabbeinu that the Tur holds. He says, "The lo kaim alan kahit Tosefta." We don't like the Tosefta. Ela eno mevarech shechianu ela al mitzvat shehi mizman zman. So therefore, we only bless shechianu on mitzvah, which is like from time to time. Like you said, Esther, right, about the holidays, right, from time to time. Right? That's why we bless on that. Like it says regarding Hilchot Pesach, Siman Taf Lamed Bet, Gabe bi'ur chametz, regarding getting rid of the chametz. Mishum hachi, it says, because of this, lo katab betfilin. He didn't write regarding tefillin, shevarech shechianu, you should bless shechianu. Mash katab betzitzit, shevarech shechianu. Now what she said regarding tzitzit, they should bless shechianu. Eno mitam mitzvot. It's not because of mitzvah. Oh, it's not because of mitzvah. Ela mitam kanet kelim, halashim. Because he bought a new item, right? Some new utensil. Right? That's the reason why we bless on tzitzit. Right? That's the reason why. I think katab balei tu, also the balei tu. Right? That's the language. Tzitzit lo kavia lezman. So it says tzitzit doesn't really have like a certain time of the year, right? Well, that's what it means to say, right? So therefore, we don't bless shechianu. Mistabalan b'shat shekana talit be'osel bo. But it says the time that he buys a talit or makes it, tzitzit makes tzitzit mechadash. We do bless shechianu. The lo gala mekelim chadashim, because it's not any worse than new utensils. Ad kanashano. Okay, that's the end of it. Then he says, when he blesses, when he wears the tzitzit, he blesses mitatef b'tzitzit. Gam zeh betosefta. That's also in Tosefta. Brachot perek acheron, last perek. Katuv be'orchot chaim. So it says in the orchot chaim, im shnaim or shlosha mitatfim b'talit kechad. If 2 or 3 people are wearing talit like at one shot. We talked about this before, right? Kulam bevarchin or echad mevarech, or either all of them can do the blessing by themselves, or one can bless for everybody, right? The answer, amen. So they can do it also that way. If they're all putting it on at the same time. Okay, that's the end of the Bet Yosef. Let's see the Shulchan Aruch and we're done. Let's see Shulchan Aruch.
What was that at the end? So if multiple people are putting on one talit,
Right,
one can say the bracha, the other.
we said this before at one time, like a while ago. What he means to say is like they're all putting it on at the same time. You know, so if that's the case, one can bless for everybody, or each one can bless by himself. They have the option, right, to do it this way or that way, whatever they want.
I see. Is it after they put it on, they bless, or right before?
The rule is you make the blessing before the mitzvah, right? That's always the rule.
Right. Okay.
Also with lighting Shabbat candles, right? Yeah, don't forget that one.
The Ashkenazim do it the other way, right?
Right, that's true. Okay.
What's the reason behind that, Rabbi?
What? The what?
How come that's in reverse?
Oh, over there regarding that?
Mm-hmm.
It was a mistake that was made by the ladies. You know, the ladies started this custom, the Ashkenazim. They thought that, you know, because according to their custom, right? According to the Ashkenazim, their custom is that when they light the candles, they take on Shabbat. So they mistakenly thought that when you say the bracha, you can't light anymore because you already took on Shabbat. But that's not correct. Why? Because you don't take on Shabbat by blessing, you take on Shabbat by lighting. So that wasn't really that's why it all came out from a mistake. This mistake came out from this whole thing.
Oh, but isn't it also like it's not? You just said it's by lighting, but they can still not take on Shabbat, right? When
Right.
they light.
Usually they do, right? That's the whole thing, you know. So therefore, you know, yeah, they were afraid it's gonna be a problem with that.
Uh-huh.
Like 99.9% of the ladies, they do take on Shabbat. You know, the Ashkenazi ladies when they light the candles. That's the way it is, you know. So
I see.
unless
Okay.
they specifically have the intention not to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So it says right, Maran Shulchan Aruch, Kanat talit ve'asa bo tzitzit. If he bought talit and he made tzitzit, bevarech shechianu, bless shechianu over there. The lo gara mikelim chadashim. But it's not any less than a new kli, right? So by the way, now the custom is not to bless when you make it, but now when you wear it, we bless shechianu, as we said, right? But if you made it when you make it, it's also fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it also works. It works, you know. By the way, the same thing also applies for like a new fruit. You know, like it comes out, right, in the market. So you're supposed to make shechianu, right, on a new fruit. So the truth is, you know, in the old days, they didn't make the shechianu when they ate the fruit. They made it when they saw it in the market. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And now the custom changed. Now we make it when we eat it. But if a person made it when he saw it, that's also good. That's the original custom. You know, the original halacha was like that.
I see. So we can do either one today.
Right. But what you cannot do is to make this bracha the second time you eat it. It has to be the first time you ate it. You know what I mean? Once you ate it one time, that's it. You cannot make it anymore.
What
That-
about if you saw it? If you saw it and you didn't say it, you didn't have it yet. What if you saw it for the first time and you did not make a blessing?
You can
And
wait
you
till
did
you
not
eat it,
eat
no
it yet.
problem. You can wait till you eat it, no problem.
But what if you see it the second time and you haven't ate it yet? Can you make a blessing?
Yeah, you still have time because you haven't eaten it yet, so you're good.
I see.
It's like season fruits, like they just came out in the
Right,
season.
seasonal fruits. You know, the truth is that in the old days, everything was seasonal. You know, like today now they import it from South America. You know, all kinds of tricks they have from Mexico, right? Your favorite place, right? They bring it from there. You know, but in the old days, everything was seasonal. You know, so things were a little bit different. Also in Israel, you know, it's still like very seasonal there. Most of the fruits.
Mm-hmm.
So we make blessings on just about everything there. You know, in Israel. A new fruit, you know, comes out, we bless on everything.
Right.
Okay, so that's the story there. So it says the Rama, ve'im lo berach b'shat asiyah. If you didn't bless when he made it, berach b'shat ituf rishon. Then he blesses the first time he wears it, right? So same thing here, by the way. If you didn't bless the first time you wore it, what about the second time? Can you bless? That's it. I think you're done. You can't bless anymore.
Right.
Yeah, you're done.
You don't have that same no, not the same effect anymore, right? You're not in a
Yeah, that's the first
happy,
time. The simcha is the first time, right? Whatever, you know. That's the whole thing. Okay, good, very good, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so we're done with this siman. Let's go to the next siman. Which is Chaf Gimel, I think, right? We're doing Chaf Gimel, which is 3 halachot. They look like short ones. Okay, good. So it says like this: Haolech bet hakvarot. If he goes to the cemetery, right? צריך להגביר הציצית שלא יהיה נגרר על it shouldn't, so it says like this, right? If you're going to the cemetery, you gotta lift up your tzitzit, so it shouldn't drag on the graves there, right? Bahak, whatever this is, right? Like it says in Brachot, Rabbi Yonatan, he says when they used to go between amongst the graves, Hava Shadia Techilta the Rabbi Yonatan Ilave Kibre Amar the Dalia the Lo Lemu Lemachar Bain Etzlenu Be'achshav. So he told the rabbi, right? One rabbi told the other, you know, lift it up, right? Don't let it drag on the graves. Why? Because you're like disgracing the dead like that. Why are you disgracing the dead? Because they can't do mitzvot. They're already finished with mitzvot, right? Since they're dead. So it's like you're like taunting them, you know, like that. It's not nice. So what does that mean? They're gonna say like this: Machar b'neitzim. They're coming tomorrow by us. They're gonna be by us in the future. V'achshav mecharfin otanu. Now they're disgracing us, right? That's what the dead are gonna say about you.
Yeah, I can ask a question about that.
Yeah, sure.
So
In
only
other words,
the
you're making them
lowest level-
jealous. Basically, you're making them jealous.
But who, right? But
But
isn't
then-
only the lowest level of the soul is connected to the body, the nefesh, and they
Right, the nefesh stays there. Right, that's true. Yeah.
but they can sense, they can understand what's going on there.
Oh yeah. They know it's fun. They know who you are. They can identify you already. They know they have GPS. They got everything. They've got the whole thing. They got face identification. They have all the tools that they need. Right.
I see.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah.
connected. They're still connected to the solam.
Right. So the truth is, that you know what it is? That there's three parts of the soul, right? There's the nefesh, there's the ruach and neshama. So they're all connected, So what happens is that when the nefesh sees you in the cemetery, the ruach and neshama, they give them information about you. Who you are and what you are and what you need. So they can pray for you. So when you get there, they already know what you need. You don't have to ask them. They already know what to pray for you.
Interesting.
Yeah. They got GPS, they got the whole thing. It's all hooked up.
So they can hear everything you're saying too.
They hear you, yes. When you come there, yeah, they hear you.
Is it only in the vicinity of the of
Yeah,
the
only the
grave?
vicinity, right? Yeah.
What if you?
Yeah.
When you come close?
Yeah, when you come close, yeah. The truth is, it could be even you're outside the cemetery. They even see you there. You don't have to actually be inside.
They see you. Do they hear you also outside the
Yeah,
cemetery?
yeah. So you know what happens? Like that's why a kohen who can't go into the cemetery, what should he do? Let him pray outside. Outside the fence, because they see him there too. They know he's there. There's no reason.
Question.
Yeah.
Women don't go with men, correct, to the cemetery?
Oh yeah, well that's a good one. I like that. So
And they have to wear
Kabbalah, right?
sunglasses.
According to halakha, women can go in there, but according to Kabbalah, they're not supposed to go in. So I always advise the ladies, don't go in there because the Mekubalim, they say that it's very dangerous for women to go in there. It causes all kinds of problems, So therefore, the rule of thumb is, ladies stay out. Right? Stay outside the fence and pray over there, whatever, right? That's the best thing to do. But whoever wants to go in, we can't stop them, because it's halakha is that they're allowed to go in. So we can't tell them, oh, it's a sin, don't go in there. We just advise them, like whatever, whatever we can tell, We'll scare them a little bit, scare them. The whole world is going to go upside down. Tell them, Okay. So that's the story. Okay, so the truth is, it also harms the men to go in there as well. That's why it's better to avoid going in the cemetery altogether. The problem is that women, it's worse, but the men also get harmed.
They also say dad and son should not go together.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, right. In other words, right, you know what that means? That when they're burying the father in the cemetery, the son doesn't go in the cemetery. There's a custom like that in Jerusalem. That's what I did, when they buried my father, I didn't go in there. I didn't go in. So the rabbis, then they asked me, they said, where are you? So we were waiting for you. I said, I'm sorry, my custom is I don't go in there. They were surprised. They thought I was coming, I never showed up. Okay. So yeah. They say, they told the Gaon of Vilna one time, they said, why don't you go to the grave of your mother? She'll get nachas from you, like she'll be happy to see you. Go to her grave, you never go. So you know what he asked them, the Gaon of Vilna? He says, she'll get nachas, but he says, I'm going to get harmed from that. He says, that's why I'm not going.
What's the
Good
harm,
for her, but
Rabbi?
it's not good for me. So therefore they say, the best thing to do is, like on the yard side of the parents or whatever, just say, some Mishnayot, Kaddish, you don't have to go to the graveyard, there's no reason to go there.
Rabbi, what's the danger? What's the
Because there's over there some bad, bad demons, bad spirits, and they cling to you, So when you leave, you're leaving with a few partners, you know what I mean? You have like a whole entourage. This is
any
the
way to get
problem.
rid of the entourage, to lose them on the way?
Yeah, well, you got to do some things, to lose them, you got to do some, so better not to have them at all, because they harm you, they cling to you, they harm you.
Mm.
But the women, it's even worse, because what happens is that they cling to the women, and then they come and do some damage, outside. They do all kinds of damage. They cause all kinds of accidents and all kinds of things, So therefore, Gamarina says, right, all the tragedies happen because of that. That the women go to the cemetery. He says all the tragedies come from there. He says. Can you imagine?
Wow.
So it's a big deal, It's a big deal. All right, good. So anyway, we'll go on a little bit, a couple more minutes. So it's like you're disgracing them like that, you're like taunting them. You're like taunting them because they can't do the mitzvah than you do. So you learn from there, he says that you can go with the tzitzit, but like lift it up, so they shouldn't it shouldn't drag on the graves. But the truth is, now the custom is, what we do when we go to the cemetery, we put it inside the tzitzit. It shouldn't show outside at all. That's what we do nowadays. Okay, whatever. So the tzitzit, it says Rabbi Yonah, says that was only in their times. Because they had all their clothing had four corners. So you can't remove all the clothing when you go to the cemetery. There's no way to do that. It says, but us, it's not really clothing for us, it's just a mitzvah. So therefore he says you shouldn't wear it at all. That's why, right, what we do is we put it inside, we tuck it in. So this way it solves the problem, That's what we do nowadays. Okay, good, we're done with that. Let's see the Shulchan Aruch. I'm sorry, let's see Beit Yosef. Actually, we can do that next time with Hashem. Well, I guess we'll cut it here. Let's see how big the Beit Yosef is. One second. Let me just see what's going on. Okay, maybe we can do like one. I don't know. Yeah, let's see. Because you go to the cemetery, you have to pick up your tzitzit. Like it says in Brachot, like over there in the Yud Chet Amud Aleph. They were going in the cemetery. The Talmidei Rabbeinu Yonah, they wrote, So since we see that they were only concerned that you shouldn't drag them on the graves, we see that you're allowed to wear it. But you have to be careful to lift up the tzitzit. So it doesn't resemble the case that we learned in the Braita. Don't go to the cemetery with tefillin on your head. The shani tzitzit, because tzitzit is different. Why? It's hanging on your clothing. You can't really remove your clothing, like you need your clothing. You're wearing when you go into the cemetery. Mihu says, however, you can say that that's only when you're wearing it as clothing. Like in those days, that was clothing for them. Right? That we say it's mutar to lift it up. But our talitot, that we don't wear those for clothing. We're just doing it for the mitzvah. בלבד. יש לו להיזהר שלא יהלך בהם בבית הקברות. So he says, therefore, you should be careful not to go into the cemetery with that at all. Right? Mishum, because you're going to be like disgracing the dead. Mipi Mori, I learned from my rabbi, says, Rabbi Yonah, the Rosh also writes this. Okay, so you see, right, that, pretty much that's the bottom line. But today, you shouldn't wear it at all. So what does that mean? If you have talit katan, tuck it in, right? And that's it, right? Don't show it. Okay, very good. That's that. So let's see the Shulchan Aruch and we're done. So it says, "Mutar lekanes bet hakvarot vehu lavush tzitzit." You're allowed to go into the cemetery if you're wearing tzitzit. Vehu shelo yeh nigrar al hakvarot, as long as it's not dragging on the graves. But if it's dragging on the graves, asur, it's not allowed. Why? Because mishum loeg verash. Because you're disgracing them, or you're taunting them like that. It's not nice. But midvay morim, once that said, in those days, in their days, they used to wear his clothing, the tzitzit. Shlovshim. But it says us, we don't do like that. We're just doing it for the mitzvah. It's asur. Even if they're not dragging, it's still asur. Right? So look what it says, right? That's only when they're exposed, the tzitzit. But if they're covered, mutar, then it's no problem, as we said, right? So if you tuck it in, it's covered. No problem, right? That's the idea. Okay, Chazak Baruch, thanks for coming, everybody. Gada Tov, it was a beautiful session. God bless you. Very
Thank you,
inspirational,
Rabbi.
very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
holy.
Yes.
God bless you all.
Mhm.
Thank you, Rabbi. Laila Tov.
Bye.